Joining me now are NBC News Washington correspondent Yamiche Alcindor and Erin Hayes, editor-at-large for the 19th News. Yamiche, first to you. You were in Alabama in the wake of the ruling. You were telling heartbreaking stories. You could not, get past the real pain and suffering and the uncertainty and the expense, all of that wrapped up. And how do they justify this?
The human impact of this was just sweeping, Andrea. I talked to so many women who had spent years, thousands of dollars pulling money out of their 401ks, trying to pursue the dream of having a family and having these precious babies that they wanted. And they were told in these hardest conversations of their lives that they were not allowed to have the treatment that they thought they could deserve. Of course, the justification from this judge has been that an embryo is a child. He was quoting from the Bible when he had his concurring opinion when the ruling came down more than a week ago now. But I've talked to so many doctors and women who now are looking at this and saying that they are hoping that a legislative fix is coming. We've seen now Republicans and Democrats in the state of Alabama coming together saying that they want to push for legislation that would make an embryo outside of a person's body, not a child, under state law. And we're going to expect hundreds of people to be at the State House tomorrow in Alabama, supporters of IVF, coming and saying they need a fix now. So, and I want to also add that Senator Tommy Tuberville, whose position on IVF was unclear for a couple of days, but it was really now made it clear that he's supportive of IVF. He said that he also expects that everything will be, quote, okay. So the signs are pointing in the direction that there will be a legislative fix. But I have to tell you, that doesn't really take away from the women who will never forget that the government told them they couldn't have IVF. I think there are going to be lasting political consequences, emotional consequences to what happened and what's playing out right now.
And Erin, we thought that this would be replicated in other red states where there has been personhood legislation and, referenda. But at this point, because Donald Trump has made it clear after studying and looking at the reaction to it, that he's against it, and someone like Tuberville, who didn't seem to know what he was talking about, is against it, do you think that there is now no, legal peril that this will spread?
Well, I think, what we're seeing is once again, Republicans kind of underestimating the real impact, the human impact that this is having on the ground with people who also are voters and who are, again and again, kind of making their voices heard on this issue at the ballot box. It is important to remind people watching that this is the first presidential election since the fall of Roe, the first time voters are going to really have a chance to weigh in on this issue at the ballot box. We're seeing this on the campaign trail because voters do want to know where these presidential candidates stand. Donald Trump certainly knows this. That's why you saw him coming out so quickly in support of IVF. His surrogates falling quickly into line on IVF. This is abortion and reproductive access is so central to, the Biden-Harris campaign's strategy for reelection, and they're not wasting any time capitalizing on this IVF ruling either. So to your point, I don't think, that red states, especially, a lot of these battleground states where women, we have seen, when they've had a chance to kind of enshrine their reproductive rights, are absolutely doing that. They certainly are trying not to paint themselves as extreme. And so, legislation that is not protecting IVF, I think, comes at their peril at the ballot box in November.
One thing that occurs is that this is so expensive. Yamiche, is this, a middle class problem, or, how do people afford this if they don't have the resources? Because it is a time-consuming, expensive process because you don't know how it's going to work and how long it's going to take.
It is very time-consuming and very expensive, but I have to tell you, when I was in Alabama, I talked to women across socioeconomic lines who found the money, made the money happen for them to have these babies. I mean, I talked to one woman, she's very middle class, who said she pulled money out of her 401k, and she said if IVF treatments were paused and were not restarted in Alabama, her dreams would be crushed because she could not afford to go to another state. So you see people who don't have the money to easily do IVF find the money, because wanting to have a child is such an overarching dream for so many Americans in this country. Wanting to have a child drives so much of people's lives. So it's such an essential part of what people want and how they see their hopes and dreams and their futures, that it is not, I think, a middle class issue. It's an issue that is definitely cutting across all lines, which is why I think politically people are going to remember this, because it's traumatizing for so many women that I talk to.